Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's just about 5:34. And Joan Jett with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. It's going to be windy with some rain this morning. Partly cloudy this afternoon, though. High of 40. And then for tonight, partly cloudy, low of 26. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. High of 47. I got 38 degrees right now in downtown Springfield. Comedian Paul Verzi is coming to the Roar Comedy Club this weekend at MGM Springfield. We'll be talking to him later on this morning. Also, your chance to win tickets to the Vintage Skinner Show coming to 52 Sumner. We'll tell you all the details about that later on. And there's other stuff, too. Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. 102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:51 and Led Zeppelin with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Rainy this morning, then cloudy for the rest of the day with a high of 39. It's 36 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
I don't care what Don McLean's saying in that American Pie. This past Saturday, April 5th, is the real day the music died because it was the day that original Beatles drummer Pete Best announced his retirement. Pete's brother actually announced it in a tweet.
Couldn't you say that Pete retired in 1963 when he was booted from the band?
I guess so. Well, what an absolutely wonderful ride we've had. However, everything comes to pass. My brother Pete Best has announced today he's retiring from personal appearances and performing with the group.
Nuts.
His daughter has informed me it's due to personal circumstances. The group he's referring to is undoubtedly the Pete Best Band, whom we must now figure out how to live without. FYI, Pete and his family still run the Casbah Coffee Club, which is the early venue that the Beatles called home. It was opened by Pete's mother in 1959. There are 4 rooms you can rent out on Airbnb: the Lennon Suite, the McCartney Suite, the Harrison Suite, and the Best Suite. No Ringo Suite.
Wow. Well, I'm sure there's some bitterness and hostility in Pete's past.
Was Ringo not, when they were originally playing in that club, was Ringo not part of the band then? Right? It was...
Which club you're talking about? Like the Cavern Club?
This Casbah Coffee Club in 1959.
1959, he was not a part of the band
Right,
yet.
so that's why there's no Ringo room.
Perhaps. Ringo probably played there, but with another band.
And then they didn't have a 5th room, so they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ringo.
Listen, that's hardly the only sad drummer story of the day. You got the death of Blondie drummer Clem Burke?
No, I don't.
Clem Burke died at the age of 70 after a brief but private battle with cancer. He played on every Blondie hit, every Blondie album, but also played with the Ramones, the Romantics, Eurythmics, Iggy Pop, Pete Townsend, Bob Dylan, Joan Jett, the Go-Go's. Great, great drummer. And in fact, if you go online, you can hear my interview from 2020 with Clem Burke on Baxy's Musical Podcast.
Oh, look at you. Digging them all back up.
I'm not mentioning this purely for the sake of shameless self-promotion. He was a very good interview at the time.
Well, when you have a heart of glass, you're about to die. You can't live forever.
It was cancer.
That and a heart of glass.
I wonder if he'll observe the rapture.
He could. Maybe he could. I'm trying to think of other Blondie hits. I don't know.
It's okay, Steve.
One way or another, he was going to die.
Oh, I see what you did there.
People on the internet are sharing which actors nailed their role so well that no one else could ever compare. James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano.
Other people tried out for it, but he was the right guy.
Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy in Scooby-Doo.
Uh-huh.
Mike Myers as Austin Powers. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I'm sure they could have gotten somebody else to do that.
Anybody could have played Iron Man. John Goodman could have played Iron Man.
Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. He really did,
he did
play that role well. I just watched last night See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
What a great movie that was, too.
You like that one?
Well, it was a dumb flick, but it was a good 80s comedy, I thought.
This is the one where he's blind, right?
Gene Wilder is deaf and Richard Pryor is blind.
That's right.
And
yes.
and it's this wackadoo back and forth of, what are you, deaf? Yes, I am. What are you, blind? Why, yeah, mother effer.
See, just great comedy. Those two really work great together.
Was it like part of Richard Pryor's contract to say the F word? Because if you took the F word out of the whole movie, it really would have been a PG-13, I would have thought.
See, I think if you took all the F words out of that film and all the swearing out of Scarface, what you have is two short films of no longer than 15 minutes.
I like those things on YouTube where they take old movie trailers like Scarface or something really horrible, and they put that Peter Gabriel song to it. The what's the song?
What, In Your Eyes?
No, the other one.
Salisbury Hill.
Salisbury Hill. And
yes.
They put that behind in the backtrack to make it look like a feel-good movie, like Scarface. One man had a dream. And then they go. Those are funny.
Those are funny.
Those are good videos. Let's see. Holly Berry. Chris Hemsworth recently made a fan for life, and it's Holly Berry. Holly and Chris were hyping their new thriller, Crime 101, when Holly revealed that Chris stood up for her on the set. She didn't exactly say what happened, but she was impressed. He's a stand-up guy. I won't get into it now, but he stood up for me for a moment in our movie, and instantly I knew right then that I'm going to follow this guy, be a fan of this guy for the rest of his life, because he stood up for a woman. He didn't have to do it, but he did it. Well, there you go.
Maybe you'll learn his lesson sometime.
I mean, she had sex with Billy Bob Thornton in the Monsters Ball.
Yeah, you can't blame her for that.
She'll do anything. Elton John and Madonna have had what it seems like a one-sided feud for over 20 years, with Elton trashing her publicly, seemingly for no reason. But this past weekend, they buried the hatchet deep inside Madonna.
What happened?
No, I'm just saying he buried the hatchet.
I thought
Madonna went to watch him on SNL, and she confronted him after the show. Quote, "When I met him, the first thing out of his mouth was, 'Forgive me,' and the wall between us fell down." Did he say forgive me because he wasn't even confronting her or seeing her when he was talking trash about her? You can talk a big game until you actually see them in person. You're like, I was just kidding. I haven't seen you in 20 years.
All right, there's a lot of people backstage that night.
Yeah.
He could have been saying forgive me for anything.
That's what I'm saying.
And then she might have thought, well, that must clearly be about me.
She also shared that it's been hurtful to know that someone she admires so much is so outspoken about his dislike of her as an artist. He previously called her a fairground stripper and accused her of lip syncing. Wow.
Well, there's lots of people that don't like her. That's just one guy. If she wanted amends from everybody, we'd be here all day.
It reminds me of that joke. What's brown and sticky?
I don't know.
Elton John's wedding ring.
Okay, that's disgusting.
Kim Kardashian's new skin pop-up spa in Beverly Hills is offering gold leaf facials and full-body LED therapy sessions, with Kim calling it the future of beauty.
Huh. Well, she must have had something to say.
Oh, my God. The last time I got lit up like that from head to toe was when Ray J flash roasted my Manuka honey pot and that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Caitlin?
Well, I never got that down and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but she once moonlighted at Taintman Gooch and Associates. She had a real nose for the speckle spreader.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is she once played the entire solo to Freebird on my pork piccolo. Your mother calling out my name like she was ordering soup at a drive-thru. And that is your Hollywood trash on Rock 102.
If you have a zero turn and now,
Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, that's it. March Madness has finally come to a close. Brackets have been busted, dreams have been ruined, and perfectly good college athletes will now be forced, against their will, to do things they're not entirely ready for, such as go to class and get an education. By now, many of you are aware that the Florida Gators rallied from a 12-point deficit to win the national championship over Houston by a final score of 65-63, a real squeaker, as Florida wins their third NCAA title. So now what happens? Well, unfortunately, it's a bit too early to tell how many students were arrested on campus last night, vandalizing property, setting stuff on fire, overturning police vehicles. Those statistics are coming. Instead, I assume that there'll be some sort of victory celebration. Then finals. And then players will start receiving checks following yesterday's $2.8 billion settlement that the NCAA will start paying in damages for violating 3 separate antitrust laws. That money will not only go to current student athletes, it'll also go to a bunch of former ones, too. In exchange, each school across America will then receive an annual bundle of cash, which starts at $20.5 million and increases every year after that for the next 10 years. So, if I happen to be a player for either Houston, who blew that 12-point lead, or Marquette, who got bounced out of the first round, or any school that didn't even make the tournament, then I'll be able to enjoy a part of that $2.8 billion settlement and a portion of the $20.5 million annual payout. Meanwhile, your clumsy, uncoordinated kid can get to enjoy the same education with the same degree at the same institution just by paying $68,000 a year to attend. That way they can get a job that pays them about half that amount. I've never heard of a better system in my life. But hey, that's everybody else's problem. Right now it's time to celebrate Florida's national championship and throw away the copies of the brackets that didn't pick them to win. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You just drove past Rocky's to buy paint and a big chainsaw. A big chain store. Well, you better turn around because Benjamin Moore is America's super premium paint, and it's only sold at independent retailers like Rocky's Ace Hardware. Plus, trained painter expert advisors at every store. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock at 6:11 and Sticks with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be cloudy today with a high of 39 tomorrow. Sunny with a high of 46. It is 36 right now in downtown Springfield.
Comedian Paul Verzi is going to be joining us after 8 o'clock. He's going to be at Roar Comedy Club this weekend at MGM Springfield. And also another round of Am I the A-Hole?
Well, there you go.
And Judy Matt today.
And Judy Matt?
And Judy Matt.
With no snacks, by the way.
Yeah, it's over the phone.
She's not coming in here. She's going to be on the phone, and she's going to be telling us about all the delicious things that she would have had for us had she had actually been here.
Well, I mean, there's
yeah.
The pancake breakfast is coming up. I'm sure she'll come back in.
Well, yeah, but this is for the Air Force band that's going to be playing at Symphony Hall this weekend.
Yeah,
and which is fine. I mean, that was a great concert that they put on. You and I kind of hosted that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was very good.
And but it would be nicer to, I don't know, it would just be nicer to get that news with ribs at 8 o'clock in the morning. She comes down and she walks down the stairs and she's got a tray full of food. She's up there preparing it in our microwave, reheating it in our microwaves and all this other stuff.
She'll buy a bunch of stuff from Theodore's the night before, which I can't complain about. Theodore's is great any time of day.
The night before. I mean that's not just a guest. That's a go-getter. That's somebody who really, really, really wants to promote their event.
I wish all of our in-studio guests were that generous. Not that I'm looking at pandering for free meals here. I just think that it's that when somebody comes in, you never want to come in empty-handed. Kind of like going to a party. Like if you were invited to a party for this weekend, you want to go empty-handed? You want to be that embarrassed?
It depends on whose party it is and what I'm getting out of it personally. If I'm getting networking, if I'm going to be able to maybe get a job out of it somehow, I will definitely bring something worth bringing. But if you're just inviting me just to fill the room, you ain't getting nothing.
I wouldn't invite you just to fill the room. I would invite you because I genuinely want you there, or I'm trying to sell you either Amway products or a timeshare.
Amway. I like the Amway product thing.
Get you a whole big stack of soaps.
Yeah. You had the story there about the Rosie Robotics thing. I didn't. I'm trying to look for that, and I couldn't see it.
22 News has got it. Last week we talked to some of the kids at Rosie Robotics in Agawam, and they were getting ready for this big thing at the Mass Mutual Center. As it turns out, they've advanced to the national championship. Actually, take that back. The World Championship. In Texas. After claiming the England's first robotics championship, these Agawam students with big brains and bigger dreams now have their eyes on the ultimate prize. Who is writing this? As the World Championship in Houston, Texas. According to Tyler Siragolu, being able to see the robot perform, knowing that you built it and put so many hours into it, why it works, it's almost better than winning. And they spent hours programming their robot named Delta to finally put it to the test against the best robotics teams in the world, and these kids from Agawam wind up advancing.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That's pretty cool. Right here from Agawam, Massachusetts. Kids are going to the national stage.
Why can't you kids from Longmeadow be as good as the kids from Agawam?
I don't know, because they're too busy minding their shots over at the shot shop.
Why don't you kids from Longmeadow put your Botox injections down for a second and start working on some robotic projects?
Speaking of technology, I have this video here, and I don't know if this is what I don't understand about the internet. Because
it's all tubes.
But this story is about the internet, and now here we go. All right, let's see if we can get some audio on this. This is from 1995, aired on April 7th of 1995.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
And it's not playing for me. It doesn't matter. It was a story about how the internet was like, and we have this thing called the World Wide Web, and and it was all wow, look at this! I can look up sports scores and the weather.
Wow.
And it was like all these basic things you could do with the
all
internet.
the
I really
that,
wish I could get the audio from it, but
this was like a TV news story.
Yeah, it was.
Look at all the things that this can do that will eventually eradicate the need for local news.
And nowhere in there was Al Gore declaring that he was the inventor of all that.
Yeah,
yeah. But there is. It's just so funny to watch something that nobody at the time really thought that where we would be today with this. And you just brought up a great point, because you said, who's writing this, right? I would imagine ChatGPT. And sometimes I think that people are relying on this tool like it's the end all be all of the more information you put into ChatGPT, the more it is learning. And the more it is trying, remember when it first started kind of coming out, and we had a certain national advertiser who was using that as a thing, and it was like, what the hell is this? What is this script? This script is ridiculous, and we figured it out pretty quickly that it was probably a ChatGPT thing, because that's the way that it was writing things.
Well, if your GPT is named Christina Demore from 22 News, then I suppose I don't see any artificial intelligence with her at all. She's a graduate of UMass, obtained a degree in journalism with a minor in Italian studies.
Yeah, I overheard a conversation over the weekend about, and I'm not gonna be specific about it, but I will say it had to do with a professor at a college, and involving students who were submitting work that was written by ChatGPT. And apparently this professor was like, you can't use ChatGPT to write these papers. And the kid was so adamant, going, I use ChatGPT to write this thing. But what this kid failed to do was because it says, I am an AI, I can't understand feelings, like whatever it was something that the kid didn't even read after it was written for him.
Right.
He didn't even make the effort to cheat well. He just copied and pasted it and then put it into a piece of paper and said, this is my term paper kind of thing.
If you're, this is a little bit of advice for the college kids. Mm-hmm. If you're going to write like a 20-page paper using ChatGPT, and you don't go back and correct the awkwardness of it all,
right,
then shame on you. You're not even cheating correctly.
But in the same conversation, this person who is a professor or some kind of faculty or whatever also said, I use it all the time to submit my reports or whatever. And I said, well, why is it okay for you to use it, but you can't have a student use it? I mean, that doesn't seem like that would be, rules for thee, but not for me. And then he tried to justify it somehow by saying, well, I go back. I mean, it's just a template, and I go back and put in my information. And I'm like, but somebody else is doing your work for you that you had already done. So, I see too many people online. You can tell that somebody is responding from a Chat GPT perspective, because when I'm looking at these people on Facebook and they have all these like opinions and all this stuff, and then somebody who you've known to be a dink for your entire life all of a sudden writes out this, this manifesto of intelligence. It's like you're using something else to help you do that.
Anytime I've used artificial intelligence to write something, it always comes out horrible.
Of course it does.
And it's very unsatisfying. So I mean, I realize that if you're a college student and you're going to bang out like 5 papers in a week, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
That you may feel a little bit overwhelmed, and the only way to do it is by using some sort of technology to get it done. Well, let me tell you something, children. Back in my day, the only way to get that much work done in a 5-day span, Jolt Cola and Vivarin. You'll be up for a week and a half with that stuff. And I got to tell you, that's the way we did it back in the olden days, and we liked it.
I'll tell you my olden days. The way you did it was if you had to write a 10-page paper, you used double spacing on whatever program it was, and you wrote in like 20-point font. So technically, it would only be like a 2-page paper, but you had 10 pages and you fit the requirement, and D+.
See, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Back.
You could do it on a typewriter.
You couldn't change the font size.
No, but you could double space it.
Oh yeah, but you couldn't go from like a 12-point to like a 14-point.
A Times New Roman to a Comic. Hey, by the way, your paper loses all credibility when you hand it in Comic Sans 20-point.
I don't know why that should be.
I don't know.
I don't see why that, or the big block Roman lettering, which that's like it takes like 10 words, takes up a foot and a half.
You capitalize all the letters.
I have no problem with that, but yet that's the way it goes. But I understand that a lot of teachers have to kind of deal with this.
Yeah.
And apparently there is technology that can spot this stuff from a mile away, allegedly. I know that if you were, say, a robotics champion from Agawam, you're probably smart enough to figure out a way to get around all that and fool the technology that's out there.
But who are you hurting when you do that? You're not really helping yourself.
If you got 5 papers and a couple of finals to do in a single week, you're only helping yourself.
I think what I just said was that, people are finding out that it's fake is because somebody who's always known to be a dink all of a sudden comes up with some, philosophical masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you writing it. You can tell that this is not the style of all the other work that this person has handed in, with the fonts and the spacing and all that stuff. All of a sudden, just magically comes up with this great essay or whatever that you've come up with.
Like some student that comes up with a 500-word essay at exactly 500 words. Not it's 497. It's not 501. It's right there on the dot.
Yeah.
That can only be done by artificial intelligence.
ChatGPT, make this 496 words.
Anyway, congratulations to the kids at Rosie Robotics in Agawam. That is awesome news. Good luck in Texas. It's 6:24 on Rock 102.
Green,
It's just about 6:26 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast for you.
Hey, pick your project. You got some sort of a home improvement project you want to get done? Rock 102 could give you $5,000 in cash, thanks to Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements. But by the way, that $5,000 you can use for anything, like replacing your roof or skylights with Dave Miner, or getting porcelain tile flooring in any room in your home from Best Tile, or updating your kitchen from Kohl's Building Supply, or design, installation, repair of fences from A Signature Fence, or updating or maintaining your HVAC system with Integrity Heating and Cooling, or you could finance a project with Luso Federal Credit Union. If you want to win $5,000, it's so simple. You just go to rock102.com and sign up before noon on April 25th. One winner chosen at random. Pick your project, brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
All right. You ready to laugh?
I'm ready to laugh.
Let's laugh. There you go.
There we go.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry. There you go. Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah.
It's Bax and Nagle's joke of the day
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's classic rock.
You like to cook.
Sure.
I like to cook.
Sure.
I recently asked 5 Michelin chefs about butter, and they all said the same thing. Hey, get out of here! This is for staff only! Who the hell do you think you are?
You should be.
You know, because I can't just walk in the kitchen and start asking for stuff. But what if I needed extra mayonnaise for my sandwich?
Well, you ask the waitress.
She's not around. What am I supposed to do?
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's your Western.
6:30 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Yankee Home Improvement. If you're thinking about a new walk-in shower system, call Yankee Home and mention Rock 102. Get $1,021 off, 50% off installation all month long. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A wind advisory is going to be in effect today from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. For all of western Massachusetts. Gusts up to 50 miles per hour are possible. Some icy surfaces are possible this morning as well, so give yourself a few extra minutes. That ice. It's like, let's get away from this already.
I want to find out more about this whole blowing situation.
You want to get blown?
Well, I don't. I'd rather not say that specifically, but I'm more interested in the potential of it.
Did you ever have a gust of wind between your legs at 50 miles an hour?
That's very personal.
Are you sure you haven't?
I'm not against it.
All right. So this would be a perfect day to go out and start a campfire.
Okay.
50-mile-an-hour winds. And don't
especially a fire that involves accelerants.
Yeah. Lighter fluid, gasoline,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff. Motor oil,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Several people are without a place to live and multiple pets are dead after a house fire in Orange. According to the Orange Fire Department, crews responded to Rogers Avenue just after 4 p.m. on Sunday. They were met with heavy fire and smoke from the front and side of the building. 2 dogs and 3 cats were killed in the fire, and 1 firefighter was left with minor injuries. Thankfully, everyone inside was able to make it out safely. The cause remains under investigation by the State Fire Marshal's Office as well as the Orange Fire Department. The Orange people.
They're not actually orange. They're not like Oompa Loompas. That's the town of Orange.
Well, I would hope not, because then you it might indicate that you have jaundice, which that's not good.
Well,
That's maybe
at least there's things you can do. There's things you can do for jaundice.
Supplements for your liver.
Yeah,
right?
supplementation. Sure, that helps.
A Hampden County man will be competing on Jeopardy today. Joe Lincor of Agawam will be on Jeopardy Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. right there on 22 News.
What the hell's going on in Agawam? Here you got a guy on Jeopardy from Agawam. We just talked about Rosie Robotics from Agawam. They're competing nationally in Houston, and all of a sudden it's like the city of Agawam has become the intellectual hub of Western Massachusetts.
You know what? I wouldn't want anybody knowing that I'm on Jeopardy. Because if I got to the big dance, let's just say I was lucky enough to get to that big dance,
Right.
I would probably fail miserably once I got to the big dance. So just because you're on Jeopardy doesn't mean that you're going to do well on Jeopardy.
No, that's true. There are some people that go on Jeopardy and seem like total idiots.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't know if you've ever known anybody who's been on Jeopardy. I have. One of my teachers from high school lasted 2 episodes. Walked away with a couple $1,000.
I'll take an anal bum cover for $500, Alex. You mean an album cover?
I'll take the rapist for $500.
That's therapist. Tuesday's episode will feature a returning champion and 2 challengers who will test their buzzer skills and their knowledge in a wide range of academic and popular categories. To see the full TV schedule, visit 22 News website. Who's watching TV that much that you're going to need the schedule on?
I don't know.
Who doesn't have a guide anymore? If you did have cable,
Jeopardy fans are very much aware of when Jeopardy runs.
I got rid of cable a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah. Probably best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I keep thinking of the same thing.
Well, there's nothing on. There's nothing on cable television.
Nothing that you can't find somewhere else. I mean, I rarely ever watch live TV apart from sports.
Well, like I said, I watched. There's a whole string of '80s movies on Netflix this year. Mm-hmm. You got The Money Pit.
Oh yeah,
with Shelley Long and
Tom Hanks.
Sure. And, what else is on there? St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. The Man in Motion.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
John Parr.
Yeah, John Parr.
Mr. Naughty himself.
Right. And quite a few other ones on there. The Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, that's another classic.
Uncle Buck is on there.
That's a good one too.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes you back in time, doesn't it? To a simpler time, the 80s, early 90s.
I get one at a time, one service at a time, because I can't. It's too expensive to do all of them. You know, people are telling me, you got to watch the show. Well, what channel it's on? It's on Paramount Plus. I'm like, sorry, I'm not spending an extra $12.99 a month when I'm already spending, $15 or $17 now for Netflix, which is ridiculous. Almost $18.
You see, I've invested into a few of them. I also share a lot of passwords and usernames.
Yeah,
too.
That's the way you can do it. I mean, I piggybacked off my sister's Disney Plus package before, but it's there's not enough on there for me to be interested in purchasing a subscription to something like that.
It's almost to the point where if you're not paying attention and you just think, oh, I've got like 5 or 6 streaming services. Well, if you bundle it all together, it's about the same amount of money you're spending on cable.
Did you ever think that we'd be at this point in time? Remember when, back in the 90s, we were like, there's nothing on TV. And then, cable channels kept expanding. Mm-hmm. And even Bruce Springsteen wrote that song, 57 channels and nothing on. Right.
Yeah.
And he was right. And now we have, you could get anything you want at the touch of your, or at your fingertips. And people are still not happy because there's nothing good on. You can watch any movie that was ever made.
Yeah. I mean, there's always something good on. The problem is finding it. If you don't get somebody else's recommendation and and then you just start randomly watching a series, I can know within 15 seconds whether I'm into it or not into it.
The other thing that bothers me is these new documentaries that come out. I almost watched this. What is it? Gone Girls. It was about the Long Island.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that one.
Long Island killer, serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in 3 parts. It's can we not make these? Can we not condense these to a one-time movie, one-time full-length movie, rather than watching it in 3 different episodes?
Yeah, I know. I get it, but sometimes they want to string you along. Like the one I'm on right now, I think this show is actually really good. Dope Thief. It's on Netflix.
What's that about?
I'm sorry, Apple TV. Really good. It's about these 2 guys, and they're dope thieves, see? And they get into all kinds of shenanigans, and then things get really bad. And then next thing you know, people get shot up and killed, and they're all chasing these 2 guys, especially the one guy. Not so much the other guy, but that one guy. Oh, man, he's in trouble.
But there you go. That's another subscription that you have to get to in order to watch that. I don't,
All you got to do is find someone who is generous enough to share their information with you.
You can't really share the Apple ones, though.
Oh, can you?
Apple is pretty tight-lipped on that thing.
We'll see about that.
Retired Springfield detective Greg Bigda's drunken. Speaking of dopes,
dope thief.
Dope thieves. A retired Springfield detective Greg Bigda's drunken driving case folded on the eve of the trial because the arresting officer is the subject of an inquiry that kept him from testifying. During a pretrial hearing yesterday, a prosecutor told Judge Michael Mulcahy he'd cancel jurors scheduled to appear today. Are you going to Nagle Pros? How do you say that? Nagle Pros? Nolle Pros?
I don't know
the case or dismissed it. The judge asked using formal Latin for the prosecutor's abandoning of a case. One or the other, Judge. ADA Andrew Gilbert said, "Do you want me to cancel the jury, Mulcahy?" He asked. "That sounds good, Your Honor." I guess that's what he had to explain it to him, what that was. I didn't know what that was.
The judge had to explain it?
What Nagle Pros was.
I don't even know who this woman is.
No, I don't think it's a woman. I think it's a term. Let's see. Nagle Pros. Noli prosque, often abbreviated as noli pros, is a Latin phrase meaning not to wish to prosecute. Used in criminal procedure. Yeah, the defense lawyer is like, what are you talking about? What's this Latin thing you're using?
Well, the law uses a lot of Latin.
Yeah, so they're not gonna go forward with it. Palmer Police Chief Christopher Burns did not respond to multiple requests for comments on arresting Officer Michael Ciafalo. Peyton North, a spokesperson for the Hamden DA's office, said an internal investigation is ongoing with the Palmer Police Department. The defendant, Bigda, had an undignified exit from the Springfield Police after he was charged federally with police brutality following the arrest of 3 Hispanic teens in 2016. A video shows him threatening the teens at the Palmer Police Department. Bigda was acquitted in the federal court of all charges and kept the fight going over his police salary until he retired last year. The Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission also decertified him. He was arrested by Palmer Police on October 1st of 2023 for allegedly driving under the influence on Three Rivers Road. In court, Gilbert played images from a body-worn camera from Palmer Police Sergeant Matthew Parsons, who arrived on scene while Bigda was being arrested. He was unsteady on his feet. Parsons testified from the witness stand under direct examination by Gilbert. There was a moderate smell of alcohol, and he had bloodshot eyes. Well, that doesn't mean he was drunk.
Oh, he just may have been like some sort of...
He was tired.
He must have been exhausted.
Defense attorney A.J. O'Donnell III. A.J. O'Donnell III of Holyoke posed no questions during a hearing on the motion to suppress the video evidence, which was allowed by Mulcahy. It's over, O'Donnell said after the hearing. Bigda left the courthouse without comment.
How does that guy get so damn lucky?
Well, you know, he's the luckiest man on the face of the planet.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
left my keys in the car.
Had one bad day, but then one lucky break after another.
Man. Where you go? Hey, it's like when they ask those sports stars where they're going after they win a championship. Hey, where are you going?
Go to Disneyland.
No, I'm going to Primo's Pizza, and I'm going to order a big giant sub. But I'll take my keys with me this time. This time.
Sure hope I don't run into any Utes looking to bust into my vehicle.
A 31-year-old woman named Akina Sampson was working at McDonald's in Florida when she saw a teenage girl walk behind the counter to grab some ranch dipping sauce. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to ask.
You should ask.
The girl later said she did it because she was being ignored by the staff. Akina flipped out, grabbed the girl's arm, and when the girl tried to break free, Akina allegedly grabbed her neck, took her to the ground, and choked her again while they were on the floor.
She must have really wanted that ranch.
I guess so. No, this is the worker doing it to the kid.
She must have really wanted to keep that ranch.
Someone called the police, and the investigation was pretty cut and dry. The altercation was caught on video, and the victim had visible injuries to her neck and elbow, and Akina was charged with child abuse.
Again, I mean, ranch is delicious, but it's not worth fighting over.
Well, I mean, at what point... You know, I was just talking about that mayonnaise thing, about going into the kitchen with the mayonnaise during the joke of the day. I did that once, years ago, at a ground round in New Jersey. It was my brother and his friend and myself, and we were sitting there eating, or the food had come out. But there was nobody really in the restaurant. There was no, like, the bartender was seemingly missing. It was a very dead Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And I wanted mayonnaise that I had asked for the sandwich, but nobody was around. Couldn't find the waiter anywhere. It was in like this empty restaurant. So I got up and I walked into the kitchen, and I asked the guy behind the line chef if I could have some mayonnaise, and he put it in a little mayonnaise cup and he put it up on the thing, and I took it out.
But they didn't yell at you.
No. And then the waiter finally realizes, like, he sees me walking out of the kitchen with the mayonnaise, and he starts laughing, and he's like, "I'm really sorry that I wasn't here to get you the mayonnaise, but I think it's really funny because half those guys don't even speak English back there. I don't even know how they understood that you wanted mayonnaise."
Okay, mayonnaise, though, is an international word.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone from every country in the world can understand mayonnaise.
But listen, sometimes you got to take matters into your own hands. What are you going to do? We're just paying money for good money for food. if nobody's around to give you what you had asked for to begin with. It
I mean,
wasn't like it was an afterthought.
Right.
It was something that I ordered with the meal.
And you just expect better treatment at a real nice place like the Ground Round.
Well, I mean, this was back in the 90s. This was in the heyday of the Ground Round. This
Right.
was
Yeah,
when
back when
Ground
it was
Round-
still considered a 5-star restaurant.
Right. Well, 3.5.
2.75.
Then it went to a 1. The day they told you,
And then it went to a none.
The day they told you couldn't throw peanut shells on the floor, that was the day I said I'm never going into a Ground Round again, and that's why the place went out of business.
How am I supposed to enjoy your
Right.
filthy restaurant if I have to be eating clean?
Exactly. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today, cloudy with a high of 39, a wind advisory in effect starting around 10 a.m., 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so just be careful with that. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 46. It's 36 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:51 on Rock 102.
Windy today. Very, very windy today. Everyone knows it's windy. Wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour at a high of 39. It is 36 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hey, this week on Baxy's Musical Podcast, really interesting interview with my guest, Lauren Molinaire, a guy that's been around since the 1960s, originally with a band called The Dogs out of Detroit. It's a band that opened up the Stooges and the MC5 and Bob Seger and AC/DC and Kiss and Van Halen and a lot of others. And he is involved in another band called the Slamdonistas. Their next album, their second album, comes out later on this month. There's another episode that you might want to check out with the late Clem Burke. This goes back to 2020. It's still available wherever you find podcast. He died this week at the age of 70 following a brief but private battle with cancer. So Clem Burke from Blondie also played with the Ramones, the Romantics, and the Eurythmics, and Iggy Pop, and a lot of other stuff. You can find all those interviews and over 270 more on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, and on the app. And they're all brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee, and Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
You know, I'm sure people call us idiots all the time.
Every day.
Every single day.
Some of those people even work here.
Someone, but they don't tell us to our face. They say it quietly behind our backs.
That's fine.
Someone asked Reddit to name the top jobs that require a high tolerance for being yelled at. Are you one of the very patient people with a job on this list? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Customer service representative. Especially if you work at a call center. You probably get a lot of people yelling at you.
I was just having this discussion with a friend the other day because they were trying to call through a call center. They were getting nowhere. They were all getting these messages that were putting them this circular hellhole. And I said to him, that normally I'm a easy-go-lucky type of fella, but there is nothing that flames me up more than having to deal with someone in customer service.
Okay.
And I'm just, at that point, I'm no longer a nice guy.
But, see, all right, that's where I was going with this, because if I talk to somebody who's a customer service representative and they're pleasant with me, even if I might not like what their answer is, I match that energy, and I'm always pleasant back to them because it's not their fault.
I would agree with that.
You know, because you're just this person working at a company who's, let's say, I don't know, like a health insurance. I just called the health insurance company last week to express my disdain for the way they run their business.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the lady on the one who's answering the call's fault, and she was very nice, and she, explained to me, and she almost was like in agreement with me. Yeah, this is kind of dumb the way they do this, but it's beyond their control. But if she was nasty to me, then I would kind of be nasty back. I mean, you have to match that energy level when you're dealing. These people who just call up and just, demand answers or demand to be, treated with some sort of respect when you haven't even given that to somebody else. I think that's wrong.
I'll always start off nice, but if I find that I'm going to get nowhere with this individual and they transfer me to someone who will help and they're even less helpful.
But again,
at that point, I start to get agitated.
But again, it's not the fault of the person. That's just their protocol that they have followed, and that's what they were told to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Teachers get yelled at by kids and parents all the time, unnecessarily, I think.
It's totally unnecessary.
Members of the military being yelled at is expected, especially in basic training. I mean, you kind of have to have thick skin if you're going to go into the service.
True.
You know, there's no safe space in the training barracks.
Are you sure? I mean, I've never been. I mean, you went to that whole training, that military training thing.
Oh, I watched how the Marines train.
Yeah, is there any specific Marine training in which Marines get together and talk about their feelings?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, there are solemn moments that they have with each other after they have completed the training, and you know, recognizing all the hard work that they just put into that.
But no one's opening up how they feel, you know, about what triggers them, you know, about how they resent their mother. Then no one's doing that.
No, I don't think there's anybody talking to the drill sergeant telling them, you know, I'm just not feeling it today. I don't think you can.
Sergeant,
you can do that.
Sergeant, I feel you're attacking me and in many ways gaslighting me, and I find that triggering.
But the reason they do that is because you want people who can handle that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
In order to, you know, because if you think that's bad, what do you think it's going to be like on a battlefield somewhere? I mean, you got to be able to not crack under that kind of pressure. That's why, you know, I don't want to single out the Marines. Well, that's why they're the best.
Oh, jeez.
You know what
you're gonna piss off those Navy guys, or those Army fellas,
or the Air Force,
or the Air Force.
You know what? There was a guy on that trip that was in the Air Force,
and
they were like, it was like this condescending talk when they talked to him. The Air Force, like we're the ones that are first on the ground when we go into these places.
Is there anyone here from the Coast Guard?
Yeah.
No. Oh boy.
Oh, why don't you get your life jacket out? But any of the branches of the military, you have to have some sort of being able.
You can't go in there
handle being yelled at.
You can't go in there being soft.
Referees.
Everyone yells at a referee.
But you got to have thick skin to be that job too.
True.
Cops. People yell at cops all the time. Healthcare workers. That includes doctors, nurses, and even veterinarians. Emotions run high in a crisis, especially when it's medical stuff. But those are the ones, you know, I mean, you have to be able to handle the pressure.
Sure. And there's a lot of it. People are in pain. They want to not feel pain right away.
Yeah. Pharmacists, again, that's health related, and they wound up being the middleman for the insurance stuff.
Yeah, that's not.
Gate agents for airlines. Oh, man, I've seen people go nuts over that. Remember I told you about Kevin?
Kevin, yeah.
At the airport a couple of years ago when he was like getting mad at the Southwest agent who didn't start till 6 and it was 5:45 and she couldn't understand why this woman would not clock in 15 minutes early to help him.
Right.
Is this how you treat all your Southwest Rapid Rewards members?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Line cooks. If you watch any episode of The Bear, you probably know what it tastes like. That's like. But, yeah, you just got to be able to cry. Nobody yells at us. We don't get yelled at.
That's
actually,
not true.
One guy calls here every day and yells at it.
Yeah. In regards to the morning show.
You and your pumpkin head.
It's 6:59 on Rock 102.
Everyone has a problem.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, as you know, there are times when a professional athlete will sign a gigantic contract, one in which he could never spend all that money in a single lifetime. And while we would all love to become filthy, stinking rich by being grossly overpaid by our employer, we tend to forget or conveniently overlook some of the other aspects of signing a thick, fat, long-term contract. And while it's easy to be blinded by the big, shiny paycheck, is every big, giant sports contract a good one? For example, yesterday, Toronto Blue Jays first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. agreed to a $500 million contract to stay with the Blue Jays for the next 14 years. That works out to approximately $35,714,000 every season for just about the next decade and a half. Now, on paper, it's the third highest contract in baseball history, following the $765 million deal that Juan Soto signed with the Mets for the next 15 years, and the 10-year, $700 million deal with Shohei Ohtani signing with the Dodgers the season right before the start of last season. The contract with Guerrero pays him a lot of money without any money being deferred, nor does this contract come with opt-out provisions. On the other hand, Guerrero was given a no-trade clause, meaning the team will essentially be stuck with him until he turns 41 years old. Meanwhile, he gets to stay with the team and hasn't won a playoff game in 9 years, including 6 years that he's been in the Blue Jays uniform. Meanwhile, a $500 million contract almost ensures the team's automatic participation in having to pay the very expensive luxury tax every year for the next 14 years, with absolutely no guarantee they'll ever win a divisional title. And oh yeah, I should point out that Vladimir Guerrero will be stuck playing for the Blue Jays for the next 14 years without ever having the opportunity to test his value in the free agent market, where he could possibly make even more money. Yeah, $500 million sounds great today, but in 5 years, it'll likely look like a tremendous mistake, where that $37 million a year is going to become very unsatisfying. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. How much Scott's four-step is going to cost you at a big giant mega store or a big online store? A hell of a lot more is going to cost you at your neighborhood Rocky's. Scott's four-step, just $95 with your Rocky's Ace Rewards card. 4 steps to a beautiful lawn. Scott's four-step from Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's almost 7:13, and Aerosmith with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Very windy today. Starting after 10 o'clock, a wind advisory in effect for all of western Massachusetts. Wind gust up to 50 miles an hour and a high of 39. It's 36 right now in downtown Springfield. Are you ready for another round of AITAH?
What does that stand for?
You figure it out, pal. We're always doing the same thing every week at the same time.
That doesn't mean I'm really paying attention, though.
Well,
what does that stand for?
That stands for ahi tuna.
Well, I like that.
You like ahi tuna?
Yeah, I'll take some of that.
I'll give you a little AH then.
I bet you will.
You put that in your mouth.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go. Am I the a-hole for
Yes.
walking out of my own birthday dinner after my fiance's little surprise? So last night was my 28th birthday. My fiance, Brian, planned this surprise dinner at a really nice restaurant with my friends and some of my family. I'm not huge on big attention, but I thought, okay, maybe he's doing something thoughtful for once. Dinner's going fine, food's good, I'm chilling, and right before dessert, Brian stands up and starts doing this whole speech about how proud of me he is and how he got me a gift that'll change my life. Then he says he paid off my student loans. At first, I was in shock. I actually teared up. Everyone clapped. My mom was crying. I was about to stand up and hug him, and then he adds, he only paid off half of it, and that the other half is on me because he wants me to learn how to be financially responsible and not rely on other people to fix my problems. I'm like, what? He basically turned my birthday into a public lecture. People were laughing like it was some cute little life lesson. My cousin was like, damn, that's tough love. I just sat there frozen. Then I stood up, took my purse, walked right out. He came running after me like, what's wrong? He was trying to be helpful, and he didn't mean to upset me, he said. I told him he embarrassed me, used my debt to make a point in front of everyone, and I wasn't in the mood to be someone's teachable moment. Now a few people are saying I overreacted and he meant well. If you want to help, just don't use it to humiliate me in front of 20 people. So am I the a-hole?
He's paying for half.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of, depending on what you went to school for, it could be a pretty costly education.
It is possible that the reason why he felt he needed to do this is because you didn't have an appreciation for the cost of your education.
Although this person has a pretty good take on it. Not the a-hole. What he did wasn't a gift. It was a power play wrapped in a public lecture. I can see that being like, hey, I know I could pay all of her debt off.
Right.
But I'm only paying half because she needs to learn a life lesson, and now I have control over her. Because she's in debt to me.
I'm not a big fan of people with major control issues, but I think I need a little bit more context here. Like, why would he need to take this moment to point this out?
Because he's a narcissist and
Perhaps.
wanted to show everybody how rich he was, and I got the money, but I'm not giving it all to her.
Perhaps, but we also don't know whether she is just an irresponsible spender of her money, whether she's just pissing money away.
But that's neither here nor there. If she's pissing money away, then he shouldn't be paying any of it.
I'm not saying it's right that he should point this out in front of other people, but I can see maybe having that kind of plan in place before the party. I wouldn't have used the party for it.
That's the when you hit somebody with a condescending lesson in life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm only going to give you half. You got to pay off the rest. I mean, that's kind of like performative superiority.
Yeah,
like you're just trying to showboat to everybody.
Well, I guess what I'm getting is, yes, he is the a-hole.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to find out what kind of a-hole personality flaws she may have that may have led up to this.
But I just said it doesn't really matter whatever flaws she has.
Mm-hmm.
To showboat like that in front of all your friends.
I can agree with that.
Her friends going, hey, yeah, look what I just did.
I can agree with that.
I'm the idiot in shining tinfoil that came to her rescue.
Because I am dating beneath me,
yeah,
I have decided to pay only half.
You ready for another one?
Yes.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my brother any of our dad's old tools because he never helped take care of him while he was sick? Our dad passed away 3 months ago after a long battle with Parkinson's. He was a mechanic, and he had a full garage of tools, some of them decades old, many of them still in great shape. He taught me everything I know and spent the last 4 years helping him almost daily. Doctor's appointments, feeding him, cleaning up while things got bad. I put my own life on hold. My brother, 38, did not. He visited maybe once every 6 months, always had some excuse, busy with work. Hard to see him like that. You're better at that kind of thing. Whatever. I never said anything. I did what needed to be done. After Dad died, he left the house and everything in it to both of us, 50-50, fine. I asked if I could keep the garage and tools. He said, sure, and I thought that was that until last week. He shows up and he says he wants to take a few things for sentimental reasons. Next thing I know, he's trying to load Dad's favorite socket set, the one I literally used with Dad to fix the lawnmower a week before he lost his ability to speak. I told him no, not happening. He said he was He said I was being selfish and turning grief into a contest. I said, you weren't here. You don't get the highlight reel without showing up for the whole damn movie. Now the family's divided. Some say I should be the bigger person. Others are proud I finally stood my ground. So am I the a-hole for drawing a hard line on something that technically belongs to both of us? Yeah, I think you are. Because, listen, it's just stuff. It's just stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so what if he wants to take it? What is the big deal?
It is. I understand how these kinds of situations tear families apart, but if you're right, it is just stuff.
Yeah,
and there must be other things that may have had more sentimental value than a socket set. On the other hand, just because you stepped up and took care of your sick relative doesn't. Well, I don't know if it necessarily makes you any better or worse than anybody else. You just took responsibility at a difficult time. I don't know if you're the one who's supposed to be, sifting through what people want or don't want.
Well, I went through this with my mother's stuff. It was like, here was a house down in Florida that I'm 1,300 miles away from. Mm-hmm. I'm in charge of all this stuff, of taking care of it, because I'm the designated whatever the hell it was. And I alerted them. I alerted my siblings. Hey, listen, we're going to have to sell this house and get rid of everything in it. So go down and get what you want. And then it was like I was accused of being not fair somehow.
That was about as fair as you could be.
Well, 2 out of 5 of us went down there and got what they could and saved sentimental things and, family heirloom type of stuff.
Right.
But the rest of it was like tchotchke crap, and I didn't have the time to do all that. And I made that clear. And there was, infighting back and forth. Who belongs to, who cares? I'm not relying on somebody's death in order to there are people out there that go, well, a big payoff when Aunt Edna dies.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I got news for you.
It's just stuff.
I don't want anybody's stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to the time when, God forbid, my parents go, I mean, I don't really need any real stuff.
I got enough.
Got lots of stuff already.
Yeah, I got enough crap that I'm looking for a dumpster for that I got to get rid of.
I don't want to see my sister and I feud over things like precious moments or Yadros. I just, to me, that doesn't seem right.
Now, what about your parents' affection? Are you fighting over that?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I think we got the equal amounts on both sides.
All right, you ready for one final one?
One more.
Am I the a-hole for walking out mid-threesome because I realized they were way more into each other than me? I, 30 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 31, for a little over a year. We've always had a pretty open, adventurous relationship, and about a month ago, we started talking about trying a threesome. All right.
Mm-hmm.
After a lot of discussion, we agreed to invite a woman he used to casually hook up with years ago. We'll call her Jess, who's 29. He was transparent about their history, and I appreciated that. He swore there were no lingering feelings and it was purely a physical past. I agreed because I figured it might be easier to try something like this with someone who knows the ropes, so to speak. We all met for dinner, had some wine, ended up back at our place. At first, everything was fine, but pretty quickly I noticed that the two of them were way more focused on each other. I don't mean a little imbalance. I mean, I felt like a guest in my own fantasy. They had inside jokes. The way they looked at each other felt familiar. I was right there and somehow invisible. So I got up, went to the bathroom, took a breath, came back out, and told them calmly that I wasn't feeling good about it and I was going to step out. I grabbed my bag and left. Not in a dramatic storm-out way, but just I was done. Later, my boyfriend texted asking if I was okay, and I said, not really. It felt like I was watching you reconnect with someone, not like we were sharing an experience together. He said I ruined something that could have brought us closer, and that I invited the drama by being in my own head about it. I don't know, maybe I was too sensitive, but in the moment I didn't feel sexy or fun. It felt like I was the third wheel in my own relationship. So, am I the a-hole for walking out on a threesome? These are, this is where, it should just be a fantasy, because it seems like it causes more problems than it does solve them.
I don't think threesomes are any place for insecurity. If you got any level of insecurity in your relationship, a threesome is not going to help it.
I told you that story years ago. I went to school with this guy who was he was dating a stripper.
What could possibly go wrong?
Full-on stripper, right? And at the end of he was also a DJ in the strip club and where she worked. And then they invited this other stripper to come home with them and have a threesome. Mm-hmm. And they, they romped around. They did whatever you do in a threesome.
Threesome stuff.
Yeah, threesome stuff. I'll never know what that's like, but they did threesome stuff. And in the morning, the girlfriend, stripper, gets up and goes to the bathroom. And she's in there for quite some time. Meanwhile, he wakes up, the other stripper wakes up, and they're like, well, let's keep going at it. So they start going at it. Mm-hmm. Then the girlfriend comes back out of the room. She flips a nutty, because how could you do this? How could you be into this? How could you do this this woman while I'm not here in the room?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, you just shared. You shared all kinds of different things the night before. Why is it different when you get up and leave the room?
There's gotta be. I'm sure there must be something online you could find, a very definitive set of rules for these kinds of things.
I'm sure there's a threesomes for dummies.
There has to be. Or if there isn't, there should be, because you shouldn't do anything in a threesome situation that might cause insecurity with one person. Any triangular relationship between three people, sexual or otherwise.
You mean a devil's triangular?
Whatever. Yeah. There's always somebody that's going to feel left out.
Yeah,
it's just nature.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think people get, like you said, you have to have thick skin and you have to have an ability to be open.
Yes,
to other things,
and no insecurities about the strength of your relationship. And there needs to be plenty of communication before, during, and after.
But she looks better than you do.
Oh, see, now that's the kind of communication you don't want. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
I guess everybody's the a-hole.
It's 726 on Rock 102. It's 729 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. Judy Matt from the Spirit of Springfield is going to be joining us a little bit later on this hour to talk about the big concert that's coming up. And then also a comedian, Paul Verzi, is going to be at the Roar Comedy Club. We'll talk to him after 8 o'clock.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
going to be fun.
And we got news next on Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass.
733 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. It's brought to you by the law offices of, Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. His local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
Thank you, Bax. Hey, first of all, there's a wind advisory in effect this morning starting at 10 a.m. 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's enough to blow things over.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Or blow things away.
So just be careful about that. Let's see. A Hampden County man will be competing on Jeopardy today. Joe Lancour of Agawam will be on Jeopardy.
What's your favorite Jeopardy question?
It's an answer, Bax. It's not a question. On Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., he traveled to California to be a contestant on the show. Some hard-hitting journalism there.
Well, you can't do this by Zoom.
Yeah, I know. You can't. You don't go down to Springfield and be on the Jeopardy program down there. Tuesday's episode will feature a returning champion and two challengers who will test their buzzer skills and their knowledge in a wide range of academic and popular categories. So congratulations. Let's see if he can pull it off.
Well, that would be great.
It would be great if he continued.
Yeah.
You know, if you lose, I mean, everybody's going to know you as Joe Lancour, the guy who failed on Jeopardy. Nice job, Joe.
Yeah, or he screwed up a question, said, what the name of the quarterback that won many Super Bowls for New England, and he says, who is Steve Grogan?
Yeah.
And like, how do you not know that?
How do you not know? Yeah, he messes. Yeah, you're right. He messes up on some obvious question.
Yeah, like a New England question that everyone in New England should know.
And then everybody knows you as Joe Blow, who Joe blew it from Jeopardy. Yeah.
Right.
Joe, you're a disappointment to not only your family, but the entire region of Western Massachusetts. You big loser. I'm just saying hypothetically. I'm not saying that this man, I mean, to even get to the big dance is pretty impressive.
Right.
But
right.
I mean,
I get it. But it'd be like, someone being asked, this former Red Sox player wore number 8 on his jersey and played for the Sox for over 20 years. And his answer is, who is Mookie Betts?
Yeah.
Like, no, idiot. It's Carl Yastrzemski. Everybody knows that.
I don't know, Joe. You got some pretty big shoes to fill. You want to be... There's a difference between being famous from Western Massachusetts and being infamous from Western Massachusetts.
No kidding.
Well, good luck to him. I hope he... the thing has already been taped. I mean, obviously the thing was filmed months ago, and he probably can't say what the outcome is. But do you think he's sweating? He's sweating it out? Like, what if he lost? What if he loses tonight?
And loses embarrassingly.
Yeah. Or is he going to be... Or he could come out on top. You never know.
That would be
He could
terrific.
a Jeopardy champion. Maybe he's filming the finals right now. We don't know.
It's not easy to even get on that show.
I know.
You got to, there's testing involved. There's there's a whole audition system in place. You can't just walk up to Ryan Seacrest and say, I want to be on not Ryan Seacrest. You can't just walk up to Ken Jennings and say, I want to be on the show. I'm wicked smart. You can't just do that. Rebecca wouldn't let you be on that show.
No. But again, I would think that you wouldn't want anybody to know that you were going to be on the show until after the fact.
That's right.
That way, if you lose, nobody's going to remember Joe Lancour from Agawam.
Unless
who took
it's a spectacular loss.
That's what I'm saying, Oh, man, he wound up $140,000 in the hole. He answered every question wrong.
All he had to do was bet $1, and he bet it all. This is the last time Joe is ever going to listen to this show.
Yeah, probably. He's probably like, I'm turning this crap off. Yeah. Who is Chris Kellogg? State lawmakers proposed a new law that would create a 25-foot buffer zone while filming first responders. Citizens taking videos of first responders at work will be given a verbal warning and will be required to step back 25 feet or face a fine of up to $1,000 or even jail time. Last year, Florida enacted a similar law, and Bay State law would mirror it. Lawmakers who are sponsoring this bill say they see it an additional tool to keep first responders safe. Just like a speed limit is to deter speeding, red lights to keep people from violating intersections, that's all the HALO Act is. It's an additional deterrent to protect first responders. You know what? You have every right to film first responders, but you, with the zooms on the zoom lenses on cameras now,
Yeah.
do you really even need to be closer than maybe even 50 feet? I mean, you get those new iPhones. You know, they say those cameras are like crazy good on those things.
Yeah, there's no reason to get too close.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to see, real mayhem, and you just don't have the right angle,
Yeah.
or the right composition in the screen. Yeah, that can certainly mess up a good picture.
Let's see. I got some on the Route 10 Tire listener line. Good morning, guys. If the guy loses the next day on your show, you should play Weird Al Yankovic's "I Lost on Jeopardy."
Oh,
which was the Greg Kinn Band parody.
Yes.
Yeah. When are you guys posting yesterday's show? Yesterday's show is already up. It's been up.
Okay.
And one guy says, "Are you talking to me?"
Hey!
You must be talking to me. What famous New England coffee? Starbucks. That would be the question the guy loses on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, the guy might be right. I don't have. I'm not seeing yesterday's show up online.
Well,
it's
on SoundCloud.
Yeah, but who's going to SoundCloud?
It's on Spotify, the Stitcher. We do the promo. It's all
I know,
up
but
on those things.
I'm just saying, but I'm just looking at Apple and it's not up. I don't know. Some of these sites are acting a little goofy lately. Don't get me started.
It's not my fault.
No, I know it's not your fault.
It's our producer's fault. That's so funny, isn't it? Yeah, matter of fact, can you imagine if we actually had a producer?
This show might actually get good.
By the way, the deadline for the Real ID is coming up next month. So if you've had a fake one for all of these years, now is the time to get a Real ID.
Right.
Down in Connecticut, 1 month from today, actually, it's on May 8th, you'll all need a Real ID. These are driver's license or identification cards that comply with federal standards. The DMV in Connecticut is extending its hours. The department is usually closed on Mondays, but they'll be open every Monday this month, so you can get a Real ID. I wanted to get it done since I'm traveling soon, said one person. It will cost $30 to get a Real ID. Everyone will soon need to board any domestic flight and any interfederal facilities like courthouses and military bases. Oh, federal courthouses?
Yeah. You need the ID.
What if you're a defendant?
That might be different.
And you don't have a Real ID?
I think if you were arrested for driving without a license.
Yeah, I was going to say. How does that work?
You might get around the whole Real ID to enter the building thing.
Real ID has a gold star in the upper right-hand corner. Where has somebody with a star on their identification ever caused a problem?
I can't think of anything.
People are very busy. They wait until the last second to get things done, and May 7th is right around the corner.
Last second? You've had it, 5 years on this?
I did this 4 years ago, and I did it through the AAA office.
Yeah.
Because the AAA office, I went up to Greenfield.
I've already had to renew my Real ID.
That's how badly I wanted to get it. You what? You've already had to renew it?
Renew it.
I don't know where my wallet is, but I bet you mine's coming up now.
Yeah, mine. I got mine.
Let me see where this wallet is.
Just last year, got it renewed.
Let me see.
See, there it is. There it is.
Oh, look at you got a brand new one.
Got a brand spanking new one.
Let me see that picture of you. That is a horrible picture.
Yeah, it's not a really good one. It's not good.
Why are they always like that? Horrible pictures.
I don't know. They don't give you like proofs. You know, like you go like an Olin Mills. They give you proofs. You can choose which one suits your license. This looks like a mugshot. I should have turned to the left.
Mine expires on my birthday next year. So I had it. It's 2021. I got it.
I expire in 2029.
Yeah.
So I'm good to go for another several years.
So you'll need a passport or primary ID, like a birth certificate or a social security card, if you want to get one of these real IDs. Well, get cracking.
You're gonna feel like a real dope if you don't have it.
I'm saying, call the AAA office. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you.
AAA is a great way to get all that kind of license stuff done.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today going to be cloudy with a high of 39 and wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour as a wind advisory will be in effect until midnight tonight. It is 37 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Now's the
102 Springfield's Classic Rock at 7:50 and 38 special with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be very windy today. Wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Wind advisory in effect starting around 10 a.m. going all the way till 11 p.m. tonight and a high of 39. It's 37 right now in downtown Springfield.
Some great events coming up with the Spirit of Springfield, including one a week, actually this Sunday.
Yeah.
And on the phone to talk about it is from the boss of the Spirit of Springfield, Judy Matt. Good morning, Judy. How are you?
Good. The boss, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you want to be called?
The head honcho.
The head honcho.
Judy.
Judy. Okay. So this Sunday is the U.S. Air Force Academy Band concert. They've been in town before. They're fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the show.
Yeah, they're from Colorado Springs, and it's going to be really quite a program, as they all are. You know, this group is 50 people, 50 artists, and they have singers. They have music that's actually composed in many cases by Faith Hill, Dolly Parton, Merle Haggard. They've got really quite a repertoire, in addition to all the patriotic music that so many people come out for. And we want to thank Rock 102 for being one of our sponsors for getting the message out. And if I could say, Pride stores, they've distributed, we have over 6,000 tickets out. So if you want to get a ticket, you could go to a Pride store. And if they don't have any left, come to the concert anyway. You just have to wait for everybody else to get in with their tickets.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the U.S. Air Force Academy Band, I think people will be very surprised how really, really good they are. And the military shows that you guys have put on for over the years, the ones that we have been to, really impressed by how, what a great show it is and how people just love going. It's a really amazing event.
And who we have coming, which is exciting for me all the time, is the Adjutant General from the state. I sent him out a note, and he comes, and people in the audience like to see that. But General Gary Keefe, he's the Adjutant General, and then there's Colonel Halassi Kuhn. You met him when you opened the concert, and it just so happens that he's the wing commander of the 104th. He graduated from this academy in Colorado Springs, and his daughter's graduating this weekend. I mean, this spring. Isn't that something?
That's awesome.
So we're having them do a nice little welcome to them. And we have a new sponsor this year called Yellowstone, formerly Gleason Jandro. And I was talking to Tony Gleason yesterday. His brother, his uncle, was a 3-star general. That's huge. That's huge. I said, Tony, 3-star general. So we're going to have a lot of brass there. And we want everyone to come and join it because it's a free concert, because of the generosity of people like you and people like, Yellowstone and all the people that help us. We're able to put this on in our beautiful symphony hall.
We should get a 4-star general in there just to be condescending to the 3-star general.
I know. Where would you get a 4-star general? At Pentagon, probably?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably down there.
I mean, do you think there's there's a big, like a pecking order? You're only a 2-star general. I got 3.
Yeah, I got 4.
I've been to some events where they bring their flag. If it's a military event,
sure.
1-star will bring his flag, and the 2-star will have his flag. They as it should be. they've earned it, and they earn the respect. So it's we love doing it. We just hope people come because I'm expecting maybe 1,500 people, and we just want people to show up because we do a lot to make it happen.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty impressive performance. And if you can fill us in, what goes into planning something like this? Because I can't imagine that they're just on speed dial, ready to show up, at Symphony Hall at a moment's notice. I mean, how far planning along do you get into this? Because I'm sure they're very popular.
Yes, they are, and they all love Symphony Hall, by the way. Typically, many of them are playing in auditorium and gymnasiums, and nothing wrong with that. But when they have a chance to play in a hall like Symphony Hall with a beautiful sound, they really take it. But the ones that we have, the 215th Army Band that comes in December, which Mercy hosts every year, we've already booked them. We booked them 1 year to the next. That's how much they love coming here.
Wow.
This particular group from Colorado Springs, this was a spring tour, and we were found out about it. And so we went after it, and they were happy to have it. And we have someone, buying all their meals, and they're staying at the Hilton Garden. So it's a nice little boost for the city, but it's more than that. It's just, we're entertaining them, and they're really great. You've been there, you've seen it. It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, and this is true. People probably don't even realize this. It's harder to book the U.S. Air Force Academy Band than it is to book either Aquanet or Trailer Trash downtown on some nights.
For sure.
It is. It's actually harder. Plus,
we booked them about 6 months ago.
Right. Plus,
So,
unlike some other events that you've had over the last couple of years, there's a lot more new parking in downtown Springfield, which makes, I imagine, this a whole lot easier.
Thanks for mentioning that. I went to the Women's Conference, Bay Path Women's Conference on Thursday.
Yeah.
And they were open for the guests coming in. It was smooth as silk. I asked people coming in because I live so close, so I didn't need to take advantage of it. I asked people, "How was it?" And they said, "So smooth." They had so many people passing out the tickets, and they have the dispenser, like you put it in and you could pay for it right quickly. And as soon as you go into the Mass Mutual Center, they have that kind of dispenser there, or so that you can pay it. They have all the little booths that you put your ticket in.
Yeah.
But it is a beautiful garage. I mean, it's not 100% complete. There's going to be a performance area outside. So, like if the Thunderbirds are having a special game, they can do an activity out there. And hey, how are our Thunderbirds? Huh? Isn't that great?
I know they're
Our
going to the playoffs.
Thunderbirds
Awesome.
well, yeah.
But it's nice to finally have a parking garage in that area that's not like loaded with fallen concrete or caution tape.
It sure is. And I tell you, it's been I like to think, 'cause I work downtown, it's been kind of a struggle for any of us working or trying to, get a parking space because it's tough with the loss of that huge garage. And now 91 North and South have been great, and MGM has been extraordinary, partner and letting people park there. But this garage is great. Take advantage of this garage.
You know what, though? I mean, I prefer nostalgia. Who doesn't want a piece of concrete falling down on their car while they're parking for a game?
Well, we've actually saved a lot.
Yeah.
From when they demolished it.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want, you just raise your hand and we'll throw it at you.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, they should have sold off pieces of that like they sold the Berlin Wall. Remember
Yeah.
they sold the pieces of the Berlin Wall? We could have sold the pieces of the falling down parking garage.
Springfield Museums would have loved a big chunk of that.
Absolutely.
Actually, I probably have a piece of it in my car. My car is worth more than it was. Speaking of which, they're talking about potholes. This morning, oh my God, did I get a hole in my tire?
Oh,
I had
no.
to replace a new tire. Oh boy, such a hole. Anyway, that's the time of year here in New England. That's what we go through.
The U.S. Air Academy, the U.S. Air Force Academy Band is going to be at Springfield Symphony Hall this Sunday, April 13th. 2:00 is when it all begins. Judy Matt from the Spirit of Springfield, great to talk to you. We'll talk to you in probably a couple of weeks about the Pancake Breakfast coming up in May.
Yeah. Thanks an awful lot for letting me be on. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. It's 7:58. Judy Matt from the Spirit of Springfield on Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, that's it. March Madness has officially come to a close. Brackets have been busted, dreams have been ruined, and perfectly good college athletes will now be forced, against their will, to do some things that they're not entirely ready for, such as go to class and get an education. By now, many of you are aware that the Florida Gators rallied from a 12-point deficit to win a national championship over Houston with a final score of 65-63. A real squeaker as Florida went on to win their third national title. So now what happens? Well, fortunately, it's still a little bit too early to tell how many students were arrested on campus last night. You know, vandalizing property, setting stuff on fire, overturning police vehicles. But those statistics are coming. Instead, I assume that there will be some sort of victory celebration. Then finals. And then players will start receiving checks following yesterday's $2.8 billion settlement that the NCAA will start paying in damages for violating 3 separate antitrust laws. That money will go to current student athletes, but also go to former ones, too. In exchange, each school across America will receive an annual bundle of cash, which starts at $20.5 million and increase every year after that for the next 10 years. So, if I happen to be a player for either Houston, who blew a 12-point lead and they'll be in the finals, or Marquette, who got bounced out in the first round, or any other school that didn't even make the tournament, then I'll be able to enjoy part of that $2.8 billion settlement and a portion of that $20.5 million payout. Meanwhile, your clumsy or uncoordinated kid can get to enjoy the same education with the same degree at the same institution by simply paying $68,000 a year to attend. So they get a job that pays them about half that amount. Now, I never heard of a better system in my life, but hey, that's everybody else's problem. Right now, it's time to celebrate Florida's national championship and throw away the copies of the brackets that didn't have them winning it all in the first place. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. So you just drove past Rocky's to buy paint at a big chain store. Well, you better turn around, fella, because Benjamin Moore is America's super premium paint, and it's only sold at independent retailers like Rocky's Ace Hardware. Plus, you got trained paint advisors at every store at Rocky's. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:13 and Ozzy with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Wind advisory will be in effect this morning from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. tonight. Wind gust up to 50 miles an hour. It should be a nice, a light breeze.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect day.
High of 39. It is 37 right now in downtown Springfield.
Comedian Paul Verzi is going to be at the Roar Comedy Club this weekend. He's his last comedy special called Reasonable Man is out as of last year. He's also got a couple of podcasts that he's on called The Verzi Effect, and also the Anything Better podcast, which he does with Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah. And he's on the phone with us right now.
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
Good, man. You're coming to Roar MGM this weekend, and I have to ask, what violation did you commit that they put you to community service to come to Springfield for the weekend?
Well, listen, I love the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I'm a gambling degenerate, so everything worked out.
So I'm
excited to be there.
You got all your vices in one little spot there.
Yes. So once you're done looking at a bunch of dirty sneakers and sweat socks, you go across the street and then you can just gamble away for the rest of the weekend. That's actually a pretty good plan, Paul.
And my family's going to be away on vacation, so it's just going to be me walking around a casino, telling jokes, smoking cigars, doing everything I want to do. It's going to be this is what God intended.
Yeah, but you got to smoke outside. That's the only downside.
That's the worst part of and why is that? It's like, guys, we're in a casino. Everybody in here is a dirtbag. Let's just smoke inside. What's going on? Like, why are you trying to class it up by having me go on the patio freezing? Let me just walk around.
Wasn't that the whole point of what a casino was built to do? All of your vices located in one place. You could get a hooker, you could get a cigar, and you could get drunk, and you could gamble your life away.
Yeah, I don't have to go outside and talk to a hooker. Let me smoke,
I to be honest, I think you do still have to go outside to talk to a hooker in Springfield. Yeah. I still think there's I don't know if it's like a vestibule they got or it's like
it's a cage.
Yes, I was gonna say. I mean, every time I've been to the casino, I haven't seen a single hooker here. It's like, this is the problem with this casino. It's too classy.
What's happened to casinos? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the moral downfall of the casinos. It's funny, though, because we have a local, a retired local person, a TV personality, friend of ours, and I was in the casino with him a couple of years ago, and he was showing clearly somebody who was a hooker on how to use that soda machine that's the free soda where you can, the Coke machines where you can put all the different syrups in it and all that different stuff. And he was explaining to her, and then she realized after a few minutes, this man ain't going to give me nothing today other than information on how to use the soda machine.
The funny thing about hookers in casinos is, like, a lot of times women are naive to it. Like, me and my wife, we were in Vegas in a casino, and, like, my wife doesn't really know. She's not a big, she doesn't go to those places.
Right.
And we just see this woman with, like, a skirt all the way up and, like, a fur thing around her neck and, like, almost topless. And my wife is just like, oh, my God, like, that woman must be freezing. Who would dress like that? I was like, babe, it's a whore. It's a hooker. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, that's not her everyday loungewear that she's wearing out of the house.
Yeah, it's Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's not normal.
Yeah, but in Springfield, Paul, I don't know if you've ever really been out to the city. Very often, I think if you're going to try to find a prostitute, the ones that are still wearing their pajamas at 9 o'clock at night are, in fact, the prostitutes. They're not dressing for the occasion. They still have the sweatpants that say "juicy" on the back, and that's what you're going to find here in Springfield.
Oh, God. Yeah. You know what, man? Look, I'm going to do my thing and get out of there.
Yeah.
At least I don't have to fly.
That's probably a good idea.
At least I don't have to fly. I've been on I'm not even joking, guys. I've been on 11 airplanes in the last 8 days.
Oh, man.
And no female pilots. That's why I'm here still. But these female pilots are flipping planes. Now I just get on and poke my head in the cockpit just to make sure. No, listen, people get mad at me when
that's your pre-flight inspection is to look in the cockpit. Is it? Who's driving this thing?
I just poke my head in. I'm like, all right, Charlie and Harry, good. No, no, people. I joke around, but I do fly a lot, and the fact that I could go, Springfield is not far from my house. I really do. I don't say this to pander because I tell places that I don't like that they stink. Like I was on stage in New Jersey and I was just like, look, guys, I'm not happy to be here. But when I go to Massachusetts and I go to Springfield, what I love about the people in Massachusetts and New England is they can't give you a compliment without prefacing it with some sort of insult, like God, especially like dudes in Boston, God forbid they give you a compliment. They just can't. They'll be like, Verzi, kid, dude, so funny, dude. Me and my girl, listen, relax. I'm not trying to sleep with you, you homo. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm like, what? I'm like, you could have just said I was funny. You don't have to.
Yeah. See, but the funny part about it is, so you do that podcast with Bill Burr, right? Anything better? So I would imagine every conversation you've ever had with that guy is exactly that. There's always an insult and then the compliment.
Yeah, one of the funniest stories about that is, I'll tell you guys a good one with Burr. Yeah, we do anything better. We pick football games for BetMGM and all that. But so we're dear friends. Bill is my son's godfather. He's been a mentor. He's looked out for me, and he's been great to me and stuff. But we've gotten into some of the most ridiculous sports arguments. I remember one time we were on the phone, and I checked into a hotel while on the phone with him, and it was in Pennsylvania. And as I'm on the phone with him, I just go, dude, hold on a second, man. He goes, what's wrong? I go, this hotel room sucks. I feel like it's 1997, dude, the carpet. And I just start complaining, right? And I'm just like, and he goes, dude, just get out of there. He goes, get out of there and go check it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. He's like, I've been doing this too long. I'm going to go check into a nicer hotel. And then I sat on the bed real quick and we screamed at each other for 3 hours about quarterbacks. We just yelled about quarterbacks. You don't know anything. 3 hours, guys. We're screaming about more titles. The titles matter. But by the time the argument was over, it was too late for me to get a new hotel room. I had to just sit in this place.
Yeah, just sit in this dinky.
Me and him screamed. Yeah.
Well, it's because
he's a great guy.
Yeah, that's a good friendship.
Well, at least you got caught up in the moment, right? Yeah. At the Motel 6.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was in it was in State College, I believe, by Penn State. It was just a nightmare. And at the end, I go, I can't even sleep comfortably now because you're a lunatic and you took it too far. And now I have to, sleep in this hellhole. But that's what friends, that's what sports. Listen, sports arguments do that.
Well, yeah, it's great that we're talking to you because I blew the last chance we had at talking to Bill.
Oh yeah, dude, listen to this. Listen to this.
So we were supposed to talk to Bill. He was coming to the area, and the publicist comes out, reaches out to me and says, "Yeah, we'd like to get Bill Burr on the show." We're like, "Yeah, great. We'd love to talk to Bill again." So I get the email, and I completely screw up the time that he's supposed to call, and I'm thinking he's calling like 9:30 in the morning. He calls at like 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And we're like right in the middle of stuff. I said, "Oh, dude, I got you down for 9:30. He said, "Well, what do you want to do? You want to call me back?" I said, "Yeah, I'll call you back." And of course, at that point, he had like 3 or 4 other he probably had your podcast to do.
Yeah.
And I blew my chance with him again.
And he never called back, and I don't blame him. Bill Burr's too big to even bother calling back the crappy radio show. They gave us your number. We had to bother you this morning, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's better off he didn't call back because it would have been a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah, everybody. So, right. This worked out so much better.
God love Bill. Me and Bill, like I said, we're friends. But I mean, we've gotten into fights. I remember when he I was on my way back from vacation. He was doing Fenway Park, and he's like, "Dude, and I surprised him, and he's like, "Dude, thank you so much for showing up." And then my stupid competitive behind, just during the whole thing, I was like, "Yeah, that was great." I go, "By the way, dude, not for nothing." I go, "I think I could hit it over to Green Monster." And we just screamed at each other he's like, "What are you talking about? You're 5'8". I'm like, "I'm telling you, dude, if the pitch is right, I'm at least hitting the Green Monster, dude." And we screamed about it for an hour. So you're better off, since you missed the call, you're better off not having to deal with it. Trust me, you dodged the bullet.
What, can you mention him to us? You mention us to him?
Yeah, now who's pandering?
Yeah. Nobody's... Comedian Paul Verzi is going to be at Roar MGM this Friday and Saturday. Tickets are available at mgmroar.com. Paul, we appreciate the time this morning. Thanks so much for coming on with us.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. And tell everybody, come out, man. I can't wait because it's the best hour I've done, and I can't wait to see everybody in Springfield and then go lose all my money. So
that's great. Paul Verzi with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:30. And Def Leppard with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be, Dan Brown will tell you all those details. He's way better at that than I am.
Yes, he is. We have news, and it's coming up next.
There you go.
On Rock 102.
Here's your
8:34. With Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. There was a house fire in Orange over the weekend. Several people are without a place to live, and multiple pets are dead after a house fire in Orange. According to the Orange Fire Department, crews responded to Rogers Avenue just after 4 p.m. on Sunday. Crews were met with heavy fire and smoke from the front and side of the building. 2 dogs and 3 cats were killed in the fire, and 1 firefighter was left with minor injuries. Thankfully, everyone inside was able to make it out safely. The cause remains under investigation by the State Fire Marshal's office as well as the Orange Fire Department. And again, they're not orange in color. That's just the name of the town.
I would like to think people know that, but I can't be sure they do.
Some people don't. Some people have no idea what they're talking about sometimes.
Oftentimes it's us.
Actually, every day it's us. We're idiots. We have no idea what we're talking about most of the time.
That's shockingly true.
We don't stay in our lane.
But, I think people listen to us purely because they're just waiting for us to sound like idiots. And they don't have to wait very long.
True. No.
It'll come by in just a matter of seconds.
Jury selection resumes in the murder trial of Karen Reed, the Massachusetts woman accused of in the death of her boyfriend, a Boston police officer. So far, 5 men and 5 women have been seated on the jury. Wait, I thought they had another day yesterday. Wasn't there another day yesterday?
Did they take a day off?
Maybe.
I believe it or not, you're going to find this very hard to imagine. I don't pay attention every single day.
Why not?
Because I have a thing that I call a life.
No additional jurors were selected yesterday.
Wow, what a waste of time.
So I don't know what's going on with that. The tremendous publicity surrounding Karen Reed's murder case didn't stop attorneys and court officials from seating the 10 jurors last week. Reed appeared to be in high spirits on Friday as she left Norfolk Superior Court following the first week of jury selection for her highly anticipated retrial in the 2022 death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. One of the interesting questions that came up, I was reading this online forum here about if Karen Reed watched John O'Keefe enter the Alberts residence, why was she leaving him voicemails 30 minutes later saying, "Nobody knows where the F you are"? It's actually a pretty good question.
Let me see if I can answer that question, though, because I think it's actually pretty simple to answer.
Yeah.
She was loaded.
What? Loaded?
Roundhouse.
Yeah.
She was buzzed beyond belief.
Here's a timeline of John O'Keefe was dropped off at approximately 12:24. She said she saw him walk into the house, right? And then the voicemails come later on. "John, I effing hate you," she's heard yelling in the first voicemail, left at 12:37 a.m. You know, if you have to leave a message like that, maybe you shouldn't be together to begin with.
Well, he didn't call her back.
Yeah, well, she leaves another one at 12:59 a.m. saying, "John, I'm here with your effing kids and nobody knows where the F you are, you effing pervert." And then the question is, why was she already assuming him missing at 12:59? Nobody knows where he is? Had she actually inquired about his whereabouts between 12:24 and 12:59?
These are questions that I'm sure will be brought up in the trial once it finally starts.
Well, these are interesting theories, I think.
Sure it is.
Some of the or interesting questions. And in the theories, I have a bit of a theory here. 12:33 to 12:37, Karen is calling John every 30 to 40 seconds like clockwork. Basically, dial, go to voicemail, call back, repeat. She isn't missing a beat. 12:36, her phone connects to Wi-Fi at John's house. 12:37, she leaves the voicemail saying she hates him, probably sitting in the car in the driveway having just pulled in. After this voicemail, for the first time, there's about a 90-second break in the calls. Until the 12:41 voicemail of her walking around, the calls become less consistent, probably because she's doing something else. This is probably her getting out of the car and realizing, oh, my taillight is broken.
How'd that happen?
How did that happen? From 12:41 to 12:59, no phone activity. Then at 12:59, she starts saying things like, "Nobody knows where you are," having not spoken to anyone. Having discovered the broken taillight, this is the beginning of the crafting of an alibi. She doesn't know what happened to JOK after the waterfall. 15 minutes later at 1:14, she calls her parents for the first time as gravity of the situation is setting in. When she wakes up, Karen Reed is getting ahead of the story. She's telling Carrie and Jen her taillight is broken, but she also never left the waterfall with JOK. In her drunken, anxious state, this is the best story she has. And bonus points, but even less unsubstantiated theory, the ring footage is missing because she's in the driveway looking at her taillight from 12:37 to 12:41. Again, this is a lot of conjecture and more of a theory than gospel, but in the change of calls from 12:36 to 12:41 and the gap from 12:41 to 12:59 culminating, "No one knows where you are," is interesting. It is. It's an interesting theory.
It's an interesting theory, but again, I can't get past the whole concept of
the amount of alcohol that was being tossed around.
She's a very slight woman. She's not what I would call a big spark plug type of gal.
But she can hold a liquor.
Can she, though? When you're having like 9 drinks and you're weighing like 115 pounds, I don't care who you are.
Hey, she said she had 6. Give her a break.
Yeah, well, you know what? When a cop pulls you over and said how many drinks you had, only had 2 when you had like 20.
Well, you go back to do the Massachusetts math.
Right.
Well, I had 1 there, and then I had the full drink there, so that was 2 in there. And then I added a shot when they came around, so I had 3. I had 6 by the time the night was over.
Even at 6, at a woman of her size,
yeah,
probably pretty damn loaded by the time she says, I gotta call him on my cell phone, and then she starts leaving messages on the voicemail that are mostly nonsensical. I can't get past that the fact that she was loaded.
Talk about something else, because you guys have no idea what you're talking about with this trial if you didn't watch any of the first time, which you clearly did not.
Again, the first trial did establish that the fact that they were all loaded, not just her. So, loaded.
Completely loaded.
Dead.
Well, again, I'm saying it's a theory. I'm not saying it's anything of fact.
Well, this person has a real problem.
Because there's a lot of gaslighting going on throughout all of this. You know, you can make anybody believe anything you want by posing the question of, but what about this? And what about this? Just because a what about doesn't mean it actually happened.
No. But
what about? And that's actually a good point. That's a good what about.
And again, I didn't sit there at the first trial, but I've researched enough since to know that she was drunk and there was reasonable doubt.
She knows.
And as long as you get both, she's not going to spend a day in jail.
And she's a feisty gal.
Oh, she is a feisty one.
Sounds like a seagull on the Cape.
Mine.
There's people mad that we're talking about that. You know?
Were any of you actually listening to the show?
No.
Hoping to get real legal, expertise or insight? I mean, has this show ever really been about accurate insight? I don't think so. I've been sitting here for 30 years. There ain't nothing accurate or insightful about this show.
Who's got time to watch an entire trial like that?
I haven't sat and watched an entire trial since OJ. I just don't have the patience.
But even then, you weren't. It wasn't like you were sitting there 24 hours a day watching the trial.
No, I had other stuff to do.
You had work to go to.
Had to go to work. I had to make lunch.
So when you get your information, you're actually watching, or are you going back and highlighting the thing? And how into it are you? Are you watching the entire thing? I got to DVR this.
I didn't DVR anything. I watched what I could handle. And after a while, I was like, oh, my God, this is so boring. As most trials are.
All right, let's talk about something else.
Please.
Westport, Connecticut. Injuries were reported after a car barreled through a wooden sound barrier in Westport. Authorities say the crash happened in the area of exit 16 on I-95 South. The barrier sustained extensive damage in the collision. Now, here poses the question. If a car hits a sound barrier, does anybody hear it? Or does it make a noise?
The person in the car most certainly hears it.
Are you sure about that?
It doesn't eliminate all sound. It just eliminates some sound.
I don't know.
And I think when you hear tires squeal and then someone say, God bless it, or ow, I think that makes noise.
Yeah, but how good is a sound barrier if it doesn't contain that noise when you crash into it?
It's a barrier. It's not. It's not a soundproof booth.
So people on the other side didn't hear it.
Probably not as well as the people on the other side.
Right.
They probably heard it loud and clear.
Yeah, I see those things. The big giant walls.
Oh yeah.
They have them on the Mass Pike in Ludlow.
Sure we do.
Yeah.
Seen them all over the place
to keep the sound down.
Of course, if you move next to a major interstate highway, you probably could assume there may be some noise issues. You're probably going to hear traffic all day long.
I remember one time years ago, somebody in my town, because he lived next to the railroad tracks, and the guy realized that I had worked for the railroad at some point in my life. Why are these things so loud? I'm like, why did you buy a house next to the railroad tracks? Like, you have to have some kind of understanding when you're purchasing real estate, where the train literally goes right behind you, right in your backyard, that it's going to make some noise.
I know people that live in your town.
Yeah.
That their house is probably like 20, 30 feet away.
It's on the same street.
Yeah. Their house is literally like 30 feet from the track.
Yeah. Her driveway is part of the tracks, I
believe.
Yeah.
Yes. And I asked her, I said, how do you live this way? And she's like, once you've heard it 10 times, you tend to start ignoring it. Like you don't even notice it so much.
When I first started working I would always know that a train was pulling into the station, if you will, or into the yard. After a while, you don't even hear it anymore. It just becomes part of the background noise. But this guy had a craw. He was this was the guy that used to own the house years ago, and he was like, I don't understand why it's so noisy.
Hey,
it's a freight train. What?
When I lived in Forest Park many years ago, occasionally you could hear the noise from from Riverside Speedway.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could hear it, and my ex-wife would say, "I can't believe that. I mean, it's so noisy. I can't believe we're hearing it from here." I grew up just a few miles from the Seekonk Motor Speedway as a kid. So to me, I don't even recognize the noise anymore because I kind of grew up with that noise. Not enough to want to go see the races at the Seekonk Motor Speedway or at Riverside Speedway, but it didn't bother me because I think you do kind of get used to that kind of noise.
Yeah,
I know I did.
You know, now that the train comes through the train comes through all the time through the town of Huntington. I actually hear it louder where I am now, even though I'm further away, just because of the echo off the valley.
Yeah.
You're in a different location, and when I lived a mile closer to the train tracks about 5 years ago, and now you can actually hear it louder. But again, unless you're actually listening for it, you don't even pay attention to it.
Right.
You know, I think it's every morning at like 3:00 in the morning. You hear the horn blasting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird. You just get used to stuff.
Let's stop talking about this because we have no idea what we're talking about.
I know. We were like, I told you, you don't come to this show for insight.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today going to be cloudy with a high of 39. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 46. There is a wind advisory in effect after 10 a.m. today, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So be careful out there. And also it's getting very slick. I guess there was some icy spots out there this morning, so just be careful with that. It's 37 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:54, and the Foo Fighters with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Wind advisory in effect after 10 a.m. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour today. Wind advisory lasting until 11 p.m. tonight. It's 37 right now in downtown Springfield.
Steve, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but it happens to be a Shop Tuesday this morning at 9 o'clock. If you go to rock102.com, you can save 30% off on to see hypnotherapist Ruth Ann Lundberg. All you got to do is wait till 9 o'clock. Go to the Shop 30 store at rock102.com. Don't miss out. 30%.
Wow. That sounds pretty damn good to me.
Heck of a deal right there.
Look outside. It's snowing.
Oh, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. It's snowing.
I got 38 degrees. How's it snowing at 38 degrees?
It's possible. I mean, it's not going to stick or anything, but it's...
Mother Nature is really starting to piss me off.
You know, Friday was gorgeous out. Friday was a really nice day. It was like sort of warm, but not too warm, nice and cool. You know, I took a nice walk, went and saw one of my kids' games.
Yeah.
It was a nice day out. And then, but over the weekend... things turned to shiznit.
I know. You got cold and damp and nasty and gross. And now it's actually snowing. I don't believe it. By the way, the snow developing, and it's starting to accumulate on the hood of your car.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, hey, it
my
happens.
God.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Hey, great show coming to 52 Summer this weekend. Vintage Skinnerd. It's as you would expect, it's a Skinnerd tribute show. Really, really good one. 52 Summer is a great place to see a show. And we happen to have a pair of tickets to the 10th caller at 293-1021. Good luck to you.
Well, let's go.
You ready to do it?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, right.
All right.
8:56 on Rock 102.